I mean, obviously we can't do any interview or have any conversation without talking about where business is in terms of sort of our global economic recession. I mean, you
Yes.
and I are probably mature enough to have been through recessions before, but this one is different because the fact is there is no sort of safe haven. All markets are suffering a degree of turmoil.
Yes.
So how do you see organisations reacting to that when it comes to these areas of customer experience management and looking at their online businesses specifically?
The first reaction is to get out the hatchet and cut away large parts of the, what can we stop spending money on? All this marketing stuff, that's just a hole in the company into which we're pouring money. Well, no, actually it's not. When the old saying is when times are tough, it pays to advertise, and when times are really bad, you have to advertise. This is the chance to go out and continue to make noise while your competitors are dying off. Well, that hatchet is a real, that cleaver is a real dangerous tool. Instead, I see the winning companies, the best practices companies, getting out the scalpel and carefully looking at, we need to cut 10% of our advertising. So instead of cutting everything by 10%, they're very carefully looking at which 10% we should cut. Great story that came out of the last eMetrics conference was from Symantec. The CMO there said, we're gonna do two things. First, every promotion that we're doing, whether it's advertising or it's an in-store program or a contest, anything, everything that we're measuring, the things that are not giving us at least an even return, we're going to cut those.
Right.
Everything, and this was the big one, and this one was a huge political risk, everything that we're not measuring, we're going to cut.
Right.
We don't know if it's working.
So if you can't measure it, then it just doesn't.
If it's not just if you can't, if it's not being measured today, it's no longer allowed on the table,
wow.
which was a big step forward. As a result, and then they did, for that round, they kept the budget the same, and as a result, they were spending the same amount of money, and they got a 25% lift in profitability because they stopped spending money on things that wasn't helping or that they didn't know whether it was helping.
Right.
So that kind of thing of taking the scalpel and saying, you know what, I'm doing banner ads here, and I'm doing search marketing, I'm spending money on that here, and I'm looking and finding that it brings me traffic but not conversion. Let's stop that, and let's monitor it on a weekly basis. That's different. That's getting out the scalpel and saying, you know what, there is 10% we can cut that we shouldn't have spent in the first place. So the best practices are looking at this as sort of an opportunity to fine-tune. I have to do more with less.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of the beast. I'm sorry, it's the fact. So how do I do it wisely? I have fewer people, so I've got to get the tools that can help me. I'm seeing more companies reaching out. Coca-Cola made another one of those, another eMetrics presentation, said we're gonna stop hiring analysts because the technology changes so fast that we can hire a consultant to come in on a project basis and teach them how to sell colored sugar water, but teaching our marketing people how to run an analytics tool and do the business analysis on it is a huge investment, and when we've got them trained up, they get hired away by somebody else. So we're only going to hire consultants from now on. That kind of adjustment is what's happening because of the economic problem.
So when the going gets tough, the smart get measuring, and they bring their planning cycles down.
Yes.
To be a lot more tactical.
Right.
And they have flexible skill bases that allow them to keep pace with technology. And
it also has us coming back to basics.
Yeah.
Let's make sure we're getting the basics right. It's a standard curve. You do what you can to make sure everything's in place, and then once everything's in place, you can start experimenting a little, and then a little more, and a little more. Well, when the economy is bad, you roll back on those experiments to where, look, we've got to get the basics, we've got to make sure we're covering the basics well, and in fact, let's tune the basics up a little bit better. Are we driving traffic to our site? Are they finding what they want? Do they like the experience? Are they telling their friends about it? Are they responding positively? Does it have an overall brand lift? And if so, that will translate into sales, and we get to keep our jobs.
Great. Jim, it's always a pleasure to talk with you.
Likewise.
And no doubt we'll be seeing each other again at the eMetrics conference in London coming up in May.
I look forward to it.
Okay. Thank you very much.